What if you could predict the future of a war, in particular the ongoing war in Ukraine? Imagine the ability to foresee the end of a conflict that has caused so much devastation and heartbreak. It's a tantalizing concept, isn't it? But it's also a complex and uncertain one. Wars are not simple games of chess where pieces move predictably and outcomes can be calculated. They are volatile, unpredictable, and influenced by countless factors, both seen and unseen. Speculation is rife, with everyone from German newspapers to American media outlets to Russian opposition media offering their predictions. Some suggest the war might freeze by 2024. Others believe it could continue until 2025. Yet the truth is, no one can say for sure. So, as we delve into the timeline of the war and the various predictions about its end, keep in mind the inherent unpredictability of such situations. The war in Ukraine didn't just happen overnight. It's a complex situation that's been years in the making. It began in 2014 when Russia annexed Crimea, an act that was widely condemned by the international community. This marked a significant escalation in tensions between the two nations. Following the annexation, pro-Russian separatists in eastern Ukraine declared independence, sparking a conflict that has since morphed into a full-scale war. The war's early years were marked by intense fighting and a high civilian death toll. Despite numerous ceasefires and peace agreements, the fighting has continued, with both sides accusing the other of violations. 2017 marked a turning point as the war entered a phase of trench warfare. This shift in tactics led to a decrease in the intensity of the fighting, but the conflict remained unresolved. The war continued to simmer, with occasional flare-ups. 2 years later, in 2019, the election of President Volodymyr Zelenskyy brought hope for a peaceful resolution. However, despite initial optimism, the war has dragged on, with no clear end in sight. Now, in 2024, the conflict is still ongoing. The situation remains tense, with fears of an escalation. Internal tension and fear among Ukrainians have grown due to the prolonged hostilities. The country finds itself in a state of uncertainty, with the timing of the war's end still up in the air. This timeline gives us a sense of the war's progression, but where does it lead us? What do the experts say about its end? Predicting the end of a war is no easy task. It involves assessing a myriad of factors, from military resources to international relations. Let's dive into the various predictions that have been made about the end of the war in Ukraine. We have a range of forecasts, each taking into account different elements and perspectives. Firstly, we have the German newspaper Welt suggesting that the conflict could potentially freeze by the year 2024. The term freezing in this context refers to a situation where the conflict may not be officially resolved, but active hostilities cease. This could be due to factors such as exhaustion of resources or shifting geopolitical landscapes. On the other hand, some American media outlets view the situation with a more prolonged timeline, predicting that the war may continue until the year 2025. This perspective takes into account the complexities of the conflict and the potential for unforeseen developments to prolong the hostilities. We also have reports from the Russian opposition media outlet Meduza, shedding light on potential strategies by Putin to end the conflict. While the specifics of these strategies are not openly discussed, it is clear that there are plans and maneuvers being considered within the Russian administration. At the heart of these predictions is Kirylo Budanov, head of Ukraine's main intelligence directorate. He emphasizes the need for active destruction of the aggressor's resources for Ukraine to achieve victory. This strategy, while aggressive, speaks to the determination and resilience of the Ukrainian forces. However, it's important to remember that these are predictions and projections. They are educated guesses based on current data and trends. But war, like life, is unpredictable. Factors such as Western assistance and military developments can play crucial roles in shaping the trajectory of the conflict. Furthermore, the human element cannot be overlooked. The will of the Ukrainian people, their courage and resolve, can significantly impact the course of the conflict. In the end, these predictions, while insightful, are far from guaranteed. The end of the war in Ukraine remains a topic of much debate and speculation. Wars are not fought in isolation. External factors such as international support and military developments can play crucial roles. Just like a chess game, the moves on the board aren't the only things that matter. The players, the strategies, and even the spectators can influence the outcome. So too with the ongoing war in Ukraine. Consider the role of Western assistance. This is not merely about sending troops or weapons, but also about providing political support, humanitarian aid, and economic sanctions. Such aid can bolster Ukraine's resilience, help protect its citizens, and put pressure on the aggressor to end hostilities. It's a multifaceted approach to conflict resolution that goes beyond the battlefield. Then there's the matter of military developments. Advances in technology, strategy, and tactics can tip the scales of war. This is where the views of Kirill Budanov, head of Ukraine's main intelligence directorate, come into play. Budanov emphasizes the need for active destruction of the aggressor's resources for Ukraine to achieve victory. This means not just winning battles, but also undermining the enemy's ability to wage war. It's a strategy that requires foresight, precision, and crucially, the right resources. But these external factors are not independent variables. They interact with each other and with the internal dynamics of the war. The effectiveness of Western assistance, for example, can be influenced by the state of Ukraine's military capabilities, and the success of Budanov's strategy could depend on the level of international support Ukraine receives. As we can see, the future of the war in Ukraine is likely to be shaped by a variety of external factors. It's a complex equation with multiple variables and unknowns. But one thing is clear, the war in Ukraine isn't just about Ukraine. It's a global issue that calls for a global response. As we've seen, predicting the end of the war in Ukraine is a complex and uncertain task. We've walked through the war's timeline from its onset to the current state of affairs. This journey has been filled with trials and tribulations, with the Ukrainian people caught in the crossfire of a conflict that seems to have no clear end in sight. We've also delved into the myriad of predictions surrounding the possible conclusion of the war. The German newspaper Welt suggests a potential freezing of the conflict as early as this year, while American media outlets predict the war may extend into 2025. On the other hand, Russian opposition media, such as Meduza, offers insights into potential strategies Putin might employ to bring the conflict to a close. Moreover, the role of external factors cannot be overlooked. Western assistance and military developments are but a few of the elements that could potentially sway the course of the conflict. Kirill Budanov, head of Ukraine's main intelligence directorate, emphasizes the necessity for active destruction of the aggressor's resources for Ukraine to secure victory. While we can't predict the future with certainty, understanding the factors at play can help us make sense of the possibilities. Stay tuned for more updates on this evolving situation.